Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to episode 14, I think, of Planet FPL Correspondent Week. I'm delighted to say our Everton correspondent Sean Norton's with us. How are you, Sean?
I am all good, James.
Good stuff. Lots to cover off on this one. FPL Towers have decided to make your team infinitely more interesting. We'll get that to that in a bit, but before we do, first and foremost, you are about to start in a new stadium. A, how much are you looking forward to it? And B, what do you foresee as the impact?
So I am on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm probably at about 10 for excitement. Um, Currently spending a lot of time having the odd drink of beer sat outside our new stadium at the Bramley Moor pub, soaking up how beautiful it looks. Um, the impact on the team. I think we'll do all right. Because I've been there before and but haven't been inside it. I think that we'll actually be in a decent position to hit the ground running. I think the fans are going to really take to it and enjoy making a lot of noise in there. And I don't foresee too many issues settling down. I mean, the first game against Brighton is not ideal because our record's not very good when we play Brighton alone. Yeah, I don't think it'll take too long before we get some goals and some wins on the board in there.
It looks great. It's been built to kind of hold the atmosphere, the steepness of the stands, etc. But
Yeah,
notoriously,
yeah,
it does take an adaptation period for nearly everybody. But then you're probably going to tell me something like, well, we're so shit anyway, James, it doesn't particularly matter. Things might just get better. Sean is nodding for the benefit of those
yeah,
on the audio.
yeah.
And with that in mind, tell me about your glorious pre season, Sean.
Oh, it's been amazing. I think it's five games, two draws, three defeats. It's been lovely.
Concerned or not?
Concerned just with regards to it would be nice to actually start the season well for once, which we haven't done since good old that ex-cop manager was in charge of us, which rapidly then turned to crap and we didn't win for months. Anyway,
I, I actually thought you were going to say since David Moyes was in charge, which would have been quite interesting.
thanks. I'm not that
No, you're not.
bad. But yeah, so I think the concerns are more about not being ready for the start of the season because there's so many players whose contracts were up and a lot of them ended up leaving. It was sort of key that we hit the ground running with terms of signings and getting bodies in. And that's not quite happened how we would have liked. So we're the first. I mean, we played Accrington, and then we played Blackburn, and then we went off to America, obviously for the summer series over there. And those 3 games, it was quite clear with who got on the plane. We were going to really struggle because Branthwaite didn't go. Keane and Tarkowski got on the plane, but were carrying injuries. So, we struggled to see them for the majority of it. So that's the basis of what's good about Everton at the minute is the centre backs and obviously Jordan Pickford. So we weren't in great shape. So we weren't expecting much, and that's proved to be the case. They've struggled, but the game against Manchester United was a much improved performance. So with Keane and Tarkowski at the art of the defence and Pickford back in goal, well, I thought we looked all right, considering Manchester United have been, as is normally the case in pre-season with them, everyone gets carried away and overhypes them. I did fear that we might get a bit of a chasing by them, and we never.
Yeah, I only saw the first half, and it looked briefly like the game might get away from you, but it was okay.
Yeah,
Considering where you're at, David Moyes openly saying as well, we're not ready. That's the big kind of headline concern from the summer. Him openly saying, we are not ready for the start of the season. I do suspect, though, that you're probably in a better frame of mind now than if we'd have recorded maybe this time last week. And a lot of that is because of some off field speculation. It very much feels like stuff's beginning to happen. We'll come back onto that in a sec. Firstly, fixtures. You'd alluded to obviously the first home game being Brighton and you maybe not having a good record against them. The two first away games are okay, Leeds and Wolves, but they are away. Leeds being away on a Monday night, I would suggest probably doesn't help. How do you feel about your fixtures at the start?
I think they're all right. I mean, our fixtures for the season for once are more sort of a normal set of fixtures because
What does that mean?
well,
You got different
it,
fixtures to everybody else, Sean.
it feels yeah. We're playing more games.
You ain't gone down, mate. I'm going to break it to you. You haven't gone down.
Well, it feels like for the last 3 or 4 years, we always seem to have an easy start, like easy on paper start that we end up not being ready for and miss a big opportunity to get points on the board. And then by the time we are ready, we tend to run straight into playing like all of the top 4 or 5 back to back. So it's nice that they're all sort of spread out. So I think there's a good mix there of fixtures so that, for fantasy football purposes, whereas ordinarily you might go, oh, well, I don't want any other players for that batch. Now, if you have got one or two of them, you can just bench potentially if you're that way inclined. So I don't mind the fixture.
Yeah, I think it depends where you look. I mean, actually, across the first four, I'd probably have you third on my ticker.
Yeah,
Then the trip to Liverpool obviously kind of drags you down. If I look across, say, the first 10, I've got you pretty much sitting sort of like kind of mid bracket in terms of your difficulty. I think it's standard all right. I think you're okay. I don't think there's anything there to be too scared of in terms of, right, that's a terrible block we
fixtures.
must
Yeah,
avoid. And I also
yeah.
don't think there's a kind of a must-have element in terms of the fixtures are too good. Although you've always warned us, Sean, the start of the season as you do tend to piss it up. Well, it's different manager now though. Does it feel different or not?
Yeah, it does. It feels like even though we might not be ideally where we want to be, we'd still be competitive. Um, so I'm not expecting a fast start. Um, but with Tarkowski being back and Michael Keane, who, as any regular listeners will know, I'm not the biggest fan of. He played in those 3 wins we got at the end of the season when we ended up missing Tarkowski and Branthwaite. We got some really good performances that
Played really
final
well
day
on one
win
at Newcastle, mate.
at Newcastle. Yeah, I mean, most Evertonians would have told you we were definitely on the beach. In our own heads, that we weren't expecting much from that game at all, and to go up there with Isak playing and be able to beat them. They got a touch fortunate that the Villa result went their way, didn't they, at Old Trafford to get in the Champions League. But we finished strong, so I think Moyes can get more of a tune out of less available than previous managers were able to. But things do start to be picking up. So yeah, the first game is a really tough game. I wasn't too happy with seeing that come out. I think promoted teams, you don't want to play them away right at the beginning of the season.
Not game one. No.
Um, so Ellen Road is a real tough, really tough fixture. And then, like I say, historically, we don't really do well against Brighton, but we're not at Goodison anymore. We're at the new Everton Stadium, so maybe that'll help us get a good first home win.
Okay, let's talk some transfer rumours. We'll timestamp this. It's Tuesday afternoon when we're recording UK time. A few rumours picking up now. Firstly, Jack Grealish, potential loan from Manchester City. Is this one you can see happening?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I think there's a really good chance that this comes off. Um, I know from reliable sources, City are more 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 inclined to sell him, but whether somebody's got to come in and pay the money, I find that's unlikely. So I definitely think he's the type of player that Moyes would want to sign to give the fans somebody that can come in and an experienced player that can hit the ground running, knows what the league's about, is a quality player, and sort of help Jack get back to playing regular football.
Yeah, I was asked during the summer when he was left out of the Club World Cup squad for City where I could foresee him going, and I said, "Yo, I felt there was space for a more creative player. I think people forget some of the creative players you really had under
Yeah,
David Moyes previously, an understanding of what Evertonians want from their footballers. I also felt that going into the new stadium, there would probably be some form of attempt to buy a marquee player, but that may have to be a loan. But also, you're in a better position from being able to play salaries,
yeah,
etc., from a PSR perspective. So it was just one that added up. I can't actually see any other. This isn't to downplay it. I can't actually see any other Premier League club wanting to go there. It just feels like a right fit for you at the moment, actually.
yeah. Absolutely agree. I think it could all fall quite nicely for us, where it works for Everton and it works for Jack. Because I'd have thought, the Premier League would be his preferred place to play his football. So I think it'll should it come off, I think it'll be a really good move for both of us.
There is a potential impact on that for Iliman Diaye. We will come back to that later in the podcast. Tyler Dibbling looked like it was on. Is it now on hold? Is it, Sean?
Yeah, if family looks on hold, they seem to be in a standoff. So I think unless Southampton soften their stance on how much money they want, sort of up front, it doesn't look like this is gonna happen. And I've seen I've seen again reliable people say Everton are moving on, working down the list of other targets they've got, which obviously can be a tactic, but I really don't see Everton going in with another bid. We've made three, we've all been rejected, so I don't think it'll happen, like I say, unless Southampton sort of soften their approach on how much money they want.
They might do. Did you say he's only got 2 years on a contract?
Yeah, and I'm sure I read that he's only got 2 years left on his contract. So if he was to sort of I'm not suggesting he goes down the Isak road, but if he sort of indicates that he'd be unlikely to sign a new deal, he wouldn't be interested, then maybe that might make Southampton soften their approach. I know he's not. I believe from some good Southampton sources that he's not training with them,
Right.
and it was a little bit strange because apparently he'd been given permission to talk to Everton, and normally a deal's close when that happens, but then the news broke that the third bid had been rejected. So
That could be that Southampton felt you would go to more, maybe, possibly. I can't see that Dibbling would sign a new contract with Southampton while they're not in the top league. But
mm,
also, I don't. I haven't had the vibe previously that it's something he's been particularly pushing for either. So it might be one knowing my luck, so Sean. And by the time it comes back out, that it'll be probably fucking Everton player by the time I release this podcast. You know how it works. One player who probably will be legitimately by the time the podcast comes out, Keenan Dewsbury Hall. He's probably going to fail the medical now, isn't
yeah, we'll
he?
I will definitely jinx it. Yeah. So hopefully that will happen. That should be imminent now. So
And that's interesting. There's a lot of people really struggling to find enabling midfielders. He's got the price. It's 5 million. If he plays the position for you like he played for Leicester, he's going to be extremely interesting, Sean. What are you thinking?
yeah, well, I was really surprised and also pleased to see that he was only 5 million. You think he's a much better player than that, but obviously they're not going to price people up expecting a transfer, are they? So there looks to me like a really good opportunity to maybe exploit there because he's sort of coming in for around £25 million, and he's coming into an area of the team where we really don't have great options for people, central midfielders who are good on the ball both defensively and offensively. And interestingly, I think they obviously knew this was likely to happen because James Garner ended up playing in like a much deeper role against Manchester United, and interestingly come out and spoke, both David Moyes and himself, about how that's an area that they sort of are looking to play him in more often. So you can see that the thinking would probably be to have him sitting in front of the defence and then having Idrissa Gana Gay and KDH, as I'm now going to call him, playing ahead of him, and it'll fit Moyes' system perfectly.
So you're talking about Idrissa, when you say ahead of him, because people associate Idrissa Gana Gueye as kind of like a great ball winning midfield. I think won more
Yeah,
tackles than any other player in the league last year.
yeah,
You're talking about him being that kind of the energy despite his age. James
Yeah,
Garner sitting in more like a playmaking six, and
yeah,
Dewsbury Hall being the one that will go and get into the box. So that does sound very
yeah,
similar to
yeah,
the relationship he had with Wilfred and Diddy at Leicester in Leicester's promotion season. That's
yeah,
quite interesting.
yeah.
Okay. A lot of people are here for DEFCONs. I think when DEFCON was announced and people started looking at the data, everyone went Everton straight away. So let's talk James Tarkowski and Jarrod Branthwaite. I guess first and foremost, they're both fit and ready to go for game week 1, we think, Sean.
Yeah, Jarrod Branthwaite David Moyes said he was going to start resume training today, so I'm hopeful that he will be back very soon. If he doesn't make the first game of the season, then it won't be too much long after that.
Branthwaite obviously new contract signed as well, so
Yeah,
presumably absolutely stay in. Any chance whatsoever that Jake O'Brien would take over these out the team?
I don't think so. I think Michael Keane's more likely to play. We've got a problem at right back. Um, so
When you say
obviously we
play,
saw,
you mean stand in, basically, not instead of
yeah, yeah,
Tarkowski or Branthwaite.
yeah. So he's part of the reason why we looked a lot better against Manchester United, because having Tarkowski and Keane in the middle meant he could go back to full back, and Nathan Patterson had played nearly all the other games there, and unfortunately he really struggles in that role. So yeah, Jake O'Brien, I'm pretty sure he'll play right back for us, first choice right back, unless we sign someone else.
Okay, so Tarkowski, Branthwaite, now in at 5.5. What's your preference?
So I'd flip it now. Tarkowski, for me, be the one to go for. Branthwaite hasn't quite realised the attacking potential that we've sort of seen previously from him when he went out on loan. So with the change in the point system, I think Tarkowski at that price, you'd have to go with him over Branthwaite.
Do you ever think you'd be tipping up an Everton defender at 5.5?
No, no,
Unless
it's
his name
mad,
was
isn't it?
Leighton Baines.
Oh, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Um, Yeah, it's a bit. It is crazy. Did have a bit of a chuckle to myself that all of a sudden Tarkovsky was going to be super popular, in all likelihood. But I think he's a really good player to be able to just stick in your team and leave him there and let him be sort of steady.
You going there, are you, Tarkowski?
I'm not sort of set on my team yet. I've sort of got a short list, and he's definitely on it. I
Okay.
just I just think there's like a real the way that the defenders have been performing, particularly like last season. One of the things I tried to purposely do was stay away from the premium defenders, because I just didn't feel like they were worth that extra money, particularly when I saw a lot of people tipping up and going after Trent, obviously from over the road, and there was Munoz just sitting there like a few £1 million cheaper, and he's a hell of a fallback in. And thankfully they haven't put him up to 6 million. And so I think you can put a really good defence together now, and not need a premium.
How do you feel when you look at that, say, Tarkowski 5.5 versus Munoz?
Well, I would put Munoz. I would take Moon. I'm trying to get them both into my team because I really, really rate Munoz. I think he's a wonderful player. And like I say, at 5.5, I think he's almost, must have. But I'd have Munoz over Tarkovsky, probably because it's just a bit more exciting in it, looking for goals and
Yeah,
assists.
but not everyone wants excitement, Sean. Some people
Well,
want a stress ball.
most most of us want excitement, don't we?
I have to say the prizes are much better in FPL this year. Look, Tarkowski is, I think, yeah, Tarkowski over Branthwaite seems fairly straightforward to me, looking at the numbers. Don't think there's any concern from a minutes perspective.
No.
I think that's probably right. How does that compare now then when you think of Tarkowski versus FPL's high scoring goalkeeper for the last 2 seasons?
Mr. Pickford. I was gutted that I knew so I did post he'd come in at 5.5 million. It's pretty obvious money, but I think it's a bit of a shame because I think it sort of
I think
takes him out.
at five, it'd been nearly everybody's team, Sean.
Takes him out. I know, but it's just like it takes him out of the game, doesn't it? I can't see me
I don't think
other
they
than
could have
that.
left him at five.
No, no. I do appreciate it. It's a bit of a no-win situation, but I just like from my point of view, last year, I did see him in a lot of teams, and it was nice seeing people posting about how happy they were with their Jordan Pickford points, and I can't see many of us so-called engaged managers having him now. So
So you'd prefer to go Tarkowski.
I would, yeah. I think that goalkeeper spot. I don't think anyone needs to go above £5 million.
Okay. Is there any reason to make a saving on Tarkowski with O'Brien or Mykolenko at five?
I don't think so. I'm almost certain another right back will come in for us, and we've brought a left back in, Adam Asnou. So he's a young 19-year-old, but I feel like Moyes will probably go down the road he did with Leighton Baines and sort of stick with Mykolenko for the first couple of months of the season, and then try to work with Adam on the training ground and sort of slowly introduce him. And then if he starts performing well, then he'll get opportunities. So yeah, I think the changes with the DEFCON points lessens the appeal of Mykolenko, and now there is some competition there for him.
Yeah, I think the summary on Asnu is absolutely spot on, by the way, mate. I think he's one that we might sit here in 6 months and be really talking about. So
Yeah,
it's not one to talk about now, but
no,
it might be in the longer term. I think he's 4.5.
yeah,
And then you start thinking, okay, is this
yeah,
a saving worth making
agree.
properly?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Sean. I think Tarkovsky is probably the pick defensively. I don't know if it's going to be for me. I'm not sure. I am concerned about this, and I know again it's David Moyes now, but I am conscious that you start season slowly. You've
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
very
yeah,
difficult challenge in pre-season. Your two best early fixtures are both away. There's a lot there that maybe want to monitor. Maybe want to monitor. But yeah, Tarkovsky would be the one, I think. Let's talk Ndiaye then, because I think he's one of the most popular 6.5s around at the moment, certainly within the FPL community. I keep getting drawn to him. I said pretty much on the podcast on Friday prior to Correspondent week that he was going to be so 50-50 for me. I keep flip-flopping on it all the time. Really like him. Highly likely to have the pens. But what's the potential impact if the Grealish deal happens and if Dewsbury Hall's maybe even going to play as kind of an 8-10 hybrid? Is he maybe going to end up on the right?
yeah. So there is I do think there is a chance of that, because obviously if at the time of recording we haven't actually signed a right-sided player, so because we know he can play there, he's done so very well for his country. He has done it for us, but only one or two occasions that I can recall. And if he's not, doesn't tend to perform as well. But he is a bit of a. He reminds me of, in some ways, he's a bit like. I mean, he's more involved than Richarlison, because he's so good. His ability on the ball, but he kind of. There are periods where he drifts in and out of games, and and the problem I've found under Moyes is he is more inclined to get hooked, and the more options that we've got, he's definitely going to start. He'll either be on the left or maybe on the right. I can see if the Jack Grealish signs Jack playing in the 10, and then him and Illy sort of swapping positions a lot, and causing people problems with the fact that they're constantly interchanging. A bit like the that lot over the park do really, really well. So I think Moyes will like that sort of chaos and surprise element. But Illy last year, I've got the minutes, which might surprise people. Because I know I was surprised when I look back on it. But from the Arsenal home game, when he had fully come back from injury. He played 75 minutes, 67 minutes, 79, 46, 90, 30, 76, and 76. So even before we've sort of got in a position where we've got a few more options in and around offensively, his minutes ain't great from a fantasy point of view. And it's noticeable when you watch him. I love him. He's a brilliant footballer. But you've got to balance off what you're seeing in real life versus how good of a fantasy asset he is. And his passing ain't great. And if you look at his expected assists, it's backed up in the data. Now, I know he's on penalties, but I always moan, me and Bradley, I think, every year, go on about how our teams hardly ever get penalties. So, as much of the fact I love him as a proper player, I am a little bit surprised with how popular he's proven to be. And I've got to be honest, I've not yet been tempted to put him in my team.
That's a killer, that, Sean. Do you know what? I was at this ready to bleach because I'm recording with Bradley after you, but I might need it for myself because probably gonna have to rip that draft up again, aren't I? So yeah, strengths, ball carrying, dribbling, unique nature to him. Again, kind of thinking back to players that you had in your first year under David Boyes, he fits in. The crowd clearly adore him and stuff.
Yeah,
On pens, I think as well, what's interesting, just to throw the different side of the argument, I think most people think once you get these new signings through the door, I don't think we're worried about you. You know, think back to December, January, quite worried before Moyes obviously came back
yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah,
I think most people think that you'll be better this year.
yeah,
When I look at the top end, and we'll talk about the strikers in a bit, I'm just thinking about the kind of layer of the midfield behind. Let's say it is Grealish left, maybe Dewsbury Hall pushing on, and Ndiaye from the right. Jack Grealish, unfortunately, he's not going to get mega returns. Definitely not. Dewsbury Hall might be great 5.0, but isn't going to get loads of goals. Might be really good for a 5.0 option, but he isn't going to get like 15 goals or so. You're then putting quite a lot of pressure on Ndiaye and the striker. And there is still an instinct element in me in Ndiaye that there is a level to go up. But I think ultimately you put me off. And the biggest put off of all actually is just the idea that it will go to the right. Because if I think about his great skills of his ball carrying, he's now coming back onto weaker foot rather than stronger foot. And that would concern me. So in a way, if Jack Grealish signs, and we'd have to look at it as a possibility, maybe even something that would drag on even till late in the
yeah,
month,
yeah.
possibly. Yeah, I find that quite off-putting. I wouldn't rule it out, but yeah, it's little things now I'm a little bit more off-put.
Yeah,
But I'm also
exactly.
getting more off-put by Kudos as well. And it was kind of always going to be one or the other. Now I'm not convinced by either at this moment.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, that's tended to be how any drafts I've put together have gone. Your man Solanke hasn't helped with that. And so I just, yeah, even that with some of the options that I've had on my short list, sort of almost ruling themselves out because they're not up to speed. I still haven't been tempted. I'm sort of more tempted by the other Everton assets because I just can't. I think 6.5 million with KDH being, if he comes in at five, Alcaraz is 5.5, five, sorry, five. McNeil's 5.5.
McNeil
Just
6.
is
Alcaraz
he
is 5.5.
right?
McNeil 6.
So right, yeah, sorry, 5.5, 6, and then 6.5 to the die. So I don't know. I'm struggling to see where if he was nailed and he played 90 minutes most of the time, then I'd get it. But like I say, it's proven last season he doesn't. And Moyes does like making changes. So all those Everton assets I've just named, they'll be good from a certain point of view, but they're not going to be most engaged FPL managers want players who are going to play at least sort of 80 minutes and know that they're in the team now. And I will be in the team. He is definitely going to start.
But we should also acknowledge first season in the Premier League, really, right?
Yeah,
Last
yeah,
season.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
acclimatization done, could kick on.
Like I say, that run of games sorry, where I read out the minutes. He scored 2 goals against Southampton. That aside, there was one.
So,
So, and like I say, he's just not the type of player that's going to get loads of assists. He really isn't. Like I say, I love him. I'm not here
I don't think he
to
got a
pull him
single
down.
assist, did he, last season?
But
I want to say.
no, I don't think he did.
No, 9 goals, zero
It was
assists.
just nine goals.
So
Yeah,
that looks
and then
shit, actually, just looking at that, really, on paper. And again, this is
yeah,
a player that could improve and go to a different level. But frankly, you're looking at a player that's getting a goal in three with nothing coming with that.
yeah, yeah, and then you look at Dwight McNeil, who is not. I like Dwight McNeil. Plenty don't because he's not like rapid, but I really like Dwight McNeil, and when you look at Dwight McNeil's season, he only played, I think, he played like less than half the season because of injury. But when he comes off, even when he comes off the bench, he always picks up assists. He's likely to get a goal. He can pick up assists, and that's regardless of how many minutes
I
he's
mean,
on
that's
fit
so
for.
interesting. Dwight McNeil, 12 attacking returns from 15 starts last year. Admittedly, 8 are assists.
Yeah, yeah, he done really well. I think he done better last season than the season before from about half the minute. Certainly
Yeah,
wouldn't
same
wouldn't be
number of
much
assists.
in
In
it.
fact, unbelievably, he got more attacking returns last season than he did the year before when he played more than double the minutes. It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah,
So,
and
I mean,
that's what I
should,
sort of think we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I think we're gonna see a better Everton, and we'll score more goals because we did as soon as Moyes come in with the same players, not loads, but we improved defensively. The results improved. We scored in most games. We didn't blank very often, and I think he'll just help take that to the next level, and we'll be more likely to get twos and threes on more occasion than we did. So I think we'll improve as a team. But who you pin your hat on there offensively from a fancy football point of view? I just don't think you
so
can.
we've got to overlook McNeil and Alcaraz, haven't we?
Well,
Just even in
I
the
will.
sense we're now saying that even in the best 11.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely. And I've got their minutes there, but it's a. I was going to say a similar story. It's a lesser story minutes wise than
McNeil does
than
feel more
Ndiaye.
like, though, that's down to injuries rather than selection.
Well, I don't. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced it is. I don't know. There's just something about the way that Moyes has used him. It's very, very different to how Sean Dyche was because he was just nailed under Dyche, and you knew he was key to the way we played, and he isn't key to the way we play anymore. You know, obviously he's a good player and he can put good balls and he takes good set pieces, but he's not someone Moyes is afraid to not start. So if you have Dwight McNeil, you are gonna get benchings. So that's the difference between him and Ndiaye. And Ndie's going to start 99% of the time, but he'll come off. Moyes has proven he rotates in that area of the pitch during the matches. So there isn't going to be anyone offensively that you can hang your hat on, even if Grealish come in. I know you say about we'll get loads of goals and assists,
Yeah, I
but
mean, with Johnny, we've discussed this for a long time about Jack Grealish. Now, you need to see it to
yeah,
feel it rather than
yeah,
hope he's going to be
yeah,
something. You need to start seeing right
yeah,
with Jack. I'm
spot on.
seeing consistency now before you
Yeah,
even consider it. So, if
yeah,
Grealish is your player hypothetically, and I don't know what his pre-season's been like, but I certainly would not
no,
be considering Jack
yeah,
Grealish at the
yeah,
same price as Ndiaye to start with. No way.
yeah. So it just like I say, it just adds to that. It adds to the sort of lesson and adds to the lesson, and that's bad, isn't it? But you know what I mean. It takes away from the minutes of potential of all the assets, and I really want, I really want to get Alcaraz in my team because I really like Charlie Alcaraz.
He likes a shot, doesn't he, Charlie?
Yeah, yeah. He's got he has got serious Tim Cahill vibes about him, Charlie Alcaraz. Um, but Moyes has made comments about how he likes the impact from him off the bench. So again, he's a cracking little player, but would I be able to pull him in my team? I couldn't as much as I really want to
By the way,
because
just remove the fantasy a little bit.
yeah,
This is part why we're saying once you get these bodies in, we're beginning to feel better about you, actually.
oh definitely,
And if Grealish doesn't happen, you're going to go elsewhere. I think that with Ndiaye as well, it's specifically Grealish makes me think, yeah, he's probably going to go on the left. That's I don't want Ndiaye on the right is
yeah,
bothering me as well. So okay, it's
yeah.
an avoid. So go on and tell me, Garner or Garner, not to confuse anyone. So
Adressa, Adressa
Idris
Gana Gay.
Idrissa Gana game, as we mentioned earlier, most tackles won the league last year. Is in at the kind of mandatory now. Could be holding midfield DEFCON price of 5.5. James Garner, you've suggested may even in terms of within possession play deeper next year, possibly
Yeah,
5.0.
yeah.
Any consideration for either of these two?
Unfortunately, not. James Garner are just don't. Yeah, I don't think he gets about the pitch enough. I think that's why they'll pull him a bit deeper, so that he doesn't have to do quite as much, pressing because he's not. I mean, he's good, but he's not good. It's just a Garner guy. He's like still. I don't know. What is he? 36. He's still like having two players on in midfield on his own. He's the amount of work he gets through is immense. So I think with Idrissa Gana Gueye, he is capable of getting the odd goal and the odd assist. Unfortunately, he likes getting booked nearly every game. So, you know, if the ceiling on DEFCONs wasn't 2 points and you could get 3 or 4, Idrissa might be an option, but because they've maxed it or capped it, nah, couldn't go there because of the yellow cards. But I think he'll chip in with some goals and assists this season if he plays that bit further up. I mean, he
Okay.
did against United. He put a great ball into Iliman Diaye.
So again, there'll be a group of people thinking them fixtures are right at the start. Maybe even people looking at wildcard four thinking that's a really nice kind of cute little first three Leeds, Brighton, Wolves. Right, I want some offensive Everton. Some would be saying Sean is trying to talk me out of and die. So, are you going to talk him out of either of the two strikers? And I guess first and foremost, who's going to start at Leeds?
I think Beto will start against Leeds. It sort of he's he's very sort of inconsistent with his hold up play. So on his day, he can be really really cut, but unfortunately, the next game you'll watch him and he's terrible, and you can hear him always on the sideline, giving it to him. And now he's got somebody who's very sort of similar in his play and his stature. He's just, I think, just Beto and Barry are just going to compete with each other. I can see Beto playing 60, 65 minutes for the first few games and getting hooked for Barry in pretty much every one. And then as soon as Barry starts showing he can match at minimum what Beto's doing, I think Barry will be starting. So I don't think you can go near either of those. Not initially.
It will still appeal though, purely in the sense as well, Sean. I mean, what would you say percentage chance of Beto starting game week one? Like, what's your confidence just on game week one?
I'd say 90%.
So that I mean that's going to be strong enough for many people because that area bracket for forwards is a bit shite, mate. We're
Yeah.
looking at and if we feel good about Muniz or we feel good about Beto, it kind of feels like it's in that range. Otherwise, you're having to step up. And some people, will be trying to force in as many of the big boys as possible. So we'll be looking in this bracket. That will make Beto appeal. Even if it just is to the start and it's like, right, okay, now I know more about what's happening with, say, Joel Perot or Leeds' situation or something like that. It will appeal. And actually, we'd have to say that he has improved substantially since David Moyes came in, mate.
Yeah, he has definitely got better. Um, I just it wouldn't be something I'd go for because, like I say, I think we'll have a good season, but I think it will be a slowish sort of start. And like I say, but Moyes likes hooking these offensive players, and Barry already, since he come in, has been coming on for Beto in every game. And I just see that getting like more and more often. So it depends how you like your fantasy football, doesn't it? If you're not afraid of players who only get 60, 70 minutes, then he's like you say, there's not loads of options. But I think I'd be more inclined to have a fifth midfielder than have two up front.
Okay. And first impressions on Barry?
Not really. His movement
Gonna
looks really
do it
good.
anyway. Sorry, keep going.
It's essential. People are gonna get, yeah. That might overtake me Roman Reigns gifts this season, man.
Yeah,
That
possibly.
Barry one. Um,
That's what they're all thinking about and die. Which I should have done it at that point. I'm gonna buy him anyway.
so yeah, Tierno. I'm hopeful, but he does like to spend a lot of time on the floor. So hopefully Moyes can knock that out of him. But his movement's really impressive, and he's got a decent goal scoring record. So we just got to start giving our strikers more chances, um, which is clearly the plan with the signings that they're looking at bringing in, and that's why Keenan Dewsbury Hall I think is really really exciting because the lad can clearly pass a ball, and Beto's proven if he gets on the shoulder at the defender and he get a ball through to him, he can the lad can finish.
So I would gather from this point for fantasy, the only Everton player that is under consideration for you is James Tarkowski.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
unless something changes, an injury or something like that, as it stands.
yeah. Mainly, like you say, minutes. The minutes put me off. Alcaraz and Ndiaye. So Tarkovsky's the only one I'm likely to have.
Okay. Just want to finish with a couple of questions on a few other members of the squad. Timo Robenham likely to get decent minutes this season.
I don't think so. I think he has pre-season because we haven't had the signings in the door. But I think if they get everybody they want, so he's potentially one to get. You might get it. You might even get loaned out. You might.
Okay. If O'Brien was unavailable for any reason, who do you think would play right back?
Oh, well, that could be Jimmy Garner.
I'll just move
Because
him back in and then
yeah,
maybe even bring a Robenham or another in the team.
yeah. I think Patterson was really poor pre-season, but he's also there was talk more. He said he potentially got a hernia problem. And they're not quick, are they, to come back from? So I'd imagine I'd like to think we'll get someone, even if it's just an experienced player on loan to cover. But if we didn't, wouldn't be surprised. We still got Seamus. Seamus got a new contract. I thought he was just going to get like a coaching contract, but they have given him a playing contract. He hasn't featured in pre-season though, and I don't think he can put a run of games together now anyway. So we might have the odd appearance, but if we don't sign anyone, I'd imagine Garner would probably help cover.
Okay. And one more, I would ask you about a young player, Harrison Armstrong.
He's had some decent minutes pre-season, but again, I think the preference would be to loan him out.
Okay. I saw him when you had a bad result at our place, game week 2, and he showed more calmness in his 2 or 3 minutes on the pitch than the rest of your
And
team
the
did in
rest of them.
90, mate. So
Yeah,
it was one that stood out to me instantly. And I know he's had some decent involvement pre-season.
yeah.
Certainly, that's not the 4.5 midfielder of choice,
No,
no.
no, no.
Go on in. Predict the likely game week 1 lineup with the information that we've got at the moment. I guess goalkeeper and back four, we're saying Pickford, O'Brien, Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Mykolenko.
Yeah,
In front of that, go on.
yeah. So I would imagine James Garner, Jesse Garner, Gay, Keenan Dewsbury, all McNeil or Alcaraz. Flip a coin. If it was pushed, I'd say it'd probably be Alcaraz. And Die on the left and Beto up front.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Much appreciated, my friend. Anything else you want to plug before we finish?
No, well, just me. Spirit_blues X account. I am on the other one, Blue Sky, but I haven't got a clue what my handle is. It
Something similar.
might be head of the table or tribal chief or something.
Sean is still dining out on winning the Planet FPL Correspondent Mini League in the 2023-24 season. Lee Jackson is the reigning champion, and he's due on Correspondent week later today. But in between, Bleachers at the ready for Bradley Parker and Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's next on Correspondent week. However, I reckon more than half their team are interested for FPL. We'll be discussing that later with Bradley. Sean, good luck for the season, my friend. Thanks, everyone. Please be nice to each other. Cue music, please. Man child.